This video essay will be a mix of 1 or 2 or 3 ideas, so get ready to explore and think. The first idea is that effects precede causes. That is, we usually think that in the cause and effect relationship, there is usually first a cause and that cause generates a consequent effect. But it is also true that, for example, the fact of knowing about a possible effect or potential effects actually changes the initial cause as when we think or theorize. And even if the effect or effects didn't actually take place in the past as with experience, there is a thought at the very least which could contribute to our subsequent decisions. So a person can make an initial decision, a supposed cause, based on past experiences, but also based on potential future effects, which could in fact be taken as the real cause or real causes, making the supposed cause actually an effect. Knowing or theorizing about the possible outcomes or effects of a decision can actually generate different causes or, in reality, effects. Therefore, the pseudo-cause is really an effect of the knowledge you predict about the future in this case. It is also possible that the effects become or are really the real causes. It is known that every effect has its cause. That is, everything that happens has its reason why, its cause, its motivation. But those causes also have their causes, hence making them really effects of even further back causes. Let us exemplify this. If you decide to work at XYZ company, it is because you needed money. So the cause is needing money and the effect is working at XYZ company, right? But if I ask you then, what was the cause of the cause? That is, what was the cause of needing money? You would probably say something like, well, I need to eat or pay my rent. And those reasons would be the causes of the causes of needing money. Therefore, all actions are in reality effects of past causes. This can lead us to the existential question of what is the first cause then? Is it God? Is it the Big Bang? Which is the cause that caused all of the other chain events thereafter? Who knows, LOL. This idea also works in relation to the future when we think about how our effects will be the causes of new effects in the future, such as starting to work at XYZ company, then having money to buy a house, which is a new effect, an effect of working at XYZ company. In this case, all of the past effects actually become causes as the future passes through us, like when we can actually relax at our new and big house we just bought. New effect, thanks to buying the house in the first place. New cause, past effect. So in essence, every action is both an effect of a past cause and a cause of a future effect. Now, to destroy my own argument, effects do not precede causes, but causes also do not precede effects. Also, action is neither a cause nor an effect, and it is not that things happen without any correlation or necessary link or nexus among them, because there is a correlation that gives rise to the actions we see in our world. But the idea of cause and effect is a fantasy. What really happens is that there are multiple actions happening all of the time. It is a network of infinite causes and infinite effects, all affecting one another across time and space, across the present, future, and past. This is not to say that we are all one and that everything is connected, because that is a simple explanation when we enter deep territory. It is an exit explanation. We can actually think of it like multiple causes generating multiple effects without any linear order. The reason for this is because life is not as simple as getting a job at XYZ company because you need to eat or pay your rent. There are cultural factors, childhood factors, personality factors, infinite factors. The basic idea of getting a job is so this millennium or so that specific cultural society. For instance, if you need money, why not steal the food or the money? How would you even go about it if the person had different causes and effects within themselves? Why choose get a job when you can choose do nothing or ask the family for money? Even in the case of stealing, an interesting question arises, which is, would you steal the money or the food? Why? What motivated you to do one thing over the other? What caused you to have one idea and not the others? The answer is not so clean cut as one reason. This is not to say that we have no control over our lives, because we can and we do make decisions that ultimately change our lives. But in the relationship of cause and effect, there are more things to consider than a simple explanation of one thing caused another thing. Now, the second idea is that relaxation allows you to perceive subliminal stimuli, while being tense limits your range of perception. That is, when you are relaxed and not really attentive and focalizing your attention and mental resources on a specific point, then you are able to perceive with your unconscious mind and register the whole. Public relation departments as well as marketing departments know this. This is why subliminal stimuli works best when you are relaxed, like when watching a movie or listening to music. Also, when you are distracted or tending to something, but still take in on the margin stimuli. That is when advertisement is at its strongest, as it targets your subconscious and you are left defenseless. Attention then is not all that recommended when you are trying to learn more information. To truly understand something, you must seek and explore without intent, that is, without being anxious about trying to get to the point. Start the work and let your mind flow. Maybe that is why when people are anxious and attentively listening to you, they may also misunderstand you. And when people are with family and friends, obviously less tense, they are more understanding. Take as an example when you are in a formal or semi-formal place like a training course at work or school, and someone asks a question. It makes the room tense. It focalizes everyone's attention on the speaker, and this is because questions carry a tense element, a demand from someone, but especially from the person being asked the question. Judgment arises in everyone when questions are asked. What you think your answer to the question might be, your evaluation of the response or answer. A question is a loaded weapon, and if you are not prepared, things can get emotional real quick. This is not to say that you learn better when you are relaxed, because you would need to pay attention, especially when you are trying to learn something new, mainly when talking about procedural knowledge, as in the know-how knowledge. It also doesn't mean that you cannot learn when you are tense. Oftentimes, the most valuable life lessons are the ones we learn when faced with extreme adversity and under crucial and tense circumstances. However, a good technique to try to really understand the whole would be to relax, because this is when your mind can and generally sees the whole. It takes in subconscious clues, little implicit cues, and undetected and or nonverbal and paraverbal communication. Also, when you need to express and create, you will be surprised at the type and quality of output you can put out into the world when you constantly have quality input coming in, regardless of its objective or intent. Tense people tend to focalize their attention on somewhat limited knowledge. They must act fast after all. And if faced with crucial circumstances, then it is necessary they think and act fast. Nevertheless, we must remember that being tense and expectant when learning is not all that useful to truly understand everything that comes with knowledge. Cultures that tend to be closed and not open to new ideas, such as conservative societies with fixed and or semi-rigid ideologies on what is right and wrong, tend to limit their intake of the whole. In other words, they tend to miss a lot of relevant and useful information for their improvement. New information allows you to take a new shape. It allows you to transform yourself. If you always have an opinion about everything, then you cannot understand anything. There are cultures that think you need to have all the answers to everything, and others where it is okay not to know everything. This is talking on the first basis impulses, of course, and not so much on the deliberate and pondering approaches or moments within the cultures. Deep-rooted cultures will tend to close up and instantly give an answer, however incorrect, of a new situation. Cultures that are less deep-rooted will tend to wait until they give a verdict about a new situation. These are different value anchor points, and operating from them means your behavior will be different. What do you value more? Giving an answer quickly but potentially incorrect, or waiting until you are certain? There are, however, moments when waiting until you are certain could be counterproductive, especially if you are a person who lives in a culture where everyone is always uncertain about everything all of the time. Therefore, you need to know that you sometimes need to act fast and give an answer, and other times you need to wait, think, ponder, and then give an answer. The third idea is really something that Jordan Peterson once said, and that is that you can find, write, and talk about the problems you are obsessed with to get better at articulating and communicating your ideas. This is something he said when once asked what you can do to get better at articulating and better at talking to people. This, I believe, has to do with intent and emotional, of course, work and processes. When you want to get better at communicating something, well, the first thing you need to do is really think and ponder about it deliberately beforehand. I have seen that I communicate most effectively when the idea I am talking about has been brewing inside my head for some time. I have the basic ideas and have extended them in my own time, when in traffic, when on the bus, when in the shower, when in my free time to myself. My meditation time, you can call it, when I am not distracted by technology, I simply think about and chew on the ideas I have been wrestling with. Then I suddenly speak to someone about them or even engage in dialogue with someone regarding these ideas, and voila, I am an expert on the topic. This is because when you talk about ideas that you are really passionate about or that you really have questions about, then you will really invest yourself in trying to get a better grip on and understanding of them. There is then an emotional investment to the inquisitive quest. Jordan Peterson also said, work on pauses like stepping stones that are underwater, which you need to feel out first before you can take on the firm step and move ahead. This means that when you communicate something, before you firmly say what you are trying to say, you must feel out the ideas and words in your head, such as the stones which lie underwater when crossing a river. You must feel them out to make sure they are stable, correct, and logical, and only then can you firmly step and say them thoroughly. Now, communication does not mean talking about what you are truly passionate about. Effective communication can take place even when it is vague, insignificant, and unintentional, such as when talking to a stranger about the weather on the bus. There is an idea in linguistics that meaning, that is, the idea behind the words, is actually what matters. Words just help us get there. Meaning, when communicating, that is, actually having something to say, is what really matters when trying to communicate something. Of course, you can construct meaning as with the stepping on underwater stones example, but deliberating beforehand helps us make the spontaneous act of thinking out loud to people more effective. To put it all together, cause and effect do not actually exist as we know them. Any one action is actually a lot of actions where multiple causes and multiple effects contributed to them. Being relaxed and having constant input coming into your head feeds your subconscious and will benefit you when it's time for you to be creative and give back to the world in the form of your work and art. And finally, communicating effectively relies heavily on your thoughts, that is, what you have pondered about beforehand. So, if you don't think, you will not have anything productive to say. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and explore more on Abstracto. If you stayed until the end of the video, thank you. Next video will be about the global warming fear debunked, climate change explained.